What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G from Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and my friends, as you see, I am back! Another Tabletop Takeout Tuesday coming right at you. Now, as you already know, I've said it enough times, so I feel like I need to say at the beginning of all of these in case you have not seen a Tabletop Takeout video yet. These are not game reviews. These are not previews. These are not how-to plays or even first impressions. These are games I love, games that I enjoy, and this is me talking about them, vlogging about them, as if I would tell my friends when I want them to play the game. All right, so just a little setup there of what this is. Now, the game we're talking about today has been out for a few years, more than a few years actually, and it's recently had a bit of a resurgence in the form of an expansion that is long overdue, an alternate game, and a brand new legacy style game. Now, we all know I don't like legacy games, but we'll talk about that when I get to it. The game that I'm talking about, my friends, Betrayal at House on the Hill. Yes, now this is a game, a cooperative, sort of. No, not semi, it's a cooperative, sort of, game of investigation. This game is set in a haunted house style setting. Now every time it's different, it's never the same type of haunted house. The game doesn't even use a board, it uses tiles. So every time the layout is gonna be different. Now in this game, you are playing, as I said, a cooperative party that has gone in to investigate the horrors of the house on the hill. And while you're there, strangeness begins happening. Oh yes, something strange this way comes. And as the strangeness is building up, you're investigating more, you're finding objects, items, you're having events. You might be thinking to yourself, John, what's so special about that? Well, there are certain tiles that cause what's called a haunt. Usually one or two of these tile rooms is nothing to worry about, because the amount that you've uncovered sort of determines the possibility of the whole haunt happening. So the more you uncover, the greater the likelihood that something evil and wicked is about to befall the party. What is it that befalls the party? Well, it all depends. The book itself has 50 different haunts, and each haunt is dependent on what room the haunt happens in, what items have already been collected. There's a cross-reference chart, and it'll lead you to one of the 50 haunts, one of the 50 events that's going to be happening. Now, when this happens, almost every single time this happens, there's one or two occasions where it doesn't, but almost every single time it happens, my friends, someone in your party, someone that was a cooperative fellow, someone that had your back, she was always there for you. He was your buddy. This is what I meant before when I said it is sort of cooperative. The game starts off fully cooperative. You are all on the same side. You're all doing the same thing. You are there to solve a mystery, a paranormal mystery, if you will. But something happens that either uncovers one of you as a traitor, or something takes control of your mind or your soul, making you a traitor. And at that point, there's two different books. There's a traitor book and a survivor book. The traitor will leave the room with the traitor book and will read that particular haunt, and that will tell the person, the player, why they've turned, what's going on, what are their nefarious plans, and what the party needs to do to stop them. Now, meanwhile, while the traitor is out in the other room reading this, the survivors, the rest of the party, are reading their survivor manual, and that tells them how this person turned on them, and what they are trying to do to them, and what the party needs to do to succeed and win the game. Yeah, it's a nice little twist. I like it a lot. Now, as I was saying, there's an expansion for it, because the game covers the first floor, the basement, and the second floor. Those are the tiles you're going to be getting for the game. In the expansion called Widow's Walk, it introduces the attic and the rooftop, the Widow's Walk, which is a on top of the old houses. It got its name. I'm half guessing here, half remembering from a long time ago that it had to do with widows of seamen, merchant marines and stuff that would go out to sea and never come back, and their wives would keep a vigil for them walking around the rooftop on the Widow's Walk. I believe that's where it got its name from. If not, I'm pretty darn close, I bet you. Now, so the expansion adds another 50 haunts. So the base game with the expansion, you have 100 different possibilities of things that can happen. Now, me and the 20-Sided Warriors have played this game at least a dozen times, and only once has a haunt come up a second time. And in that case, we just continued and did another roll for the next time and used that to get us a new haunt, which is all we did. Now, there's also a Dungeons and Dragons version. The newest version that came out is a Dungeons and Dragons version of this game called Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. And this we haven't gotten a chance to play that yet. Hopefully that'll be coming up this weekend or maybe one of the very soon weekends. It's on my list. I got to get that to the table and try that. And also there's another game that I know very little about. It is a legacy style game of Betrayal at House on the Hill. And the one thing that has me interested about this, now I don't like legacy games primarily because of their lack of replayability, because you have to tear cards up permanently instead of just getting rid of them for the run of the campaign game. And the other thing, which is which a lot of people do. A lot of people will just kind of put the cards aside instead of destroying them, tearing them, breaking them. However, there's one thing that you can't get over, and that is the fact that on most of these legacy style games, stickers have to be permanently put on the board, which alters the board, well, permanently for the rest of its existence. I have in the past argued that they shouldn't use stickers at all, that they could use color forms. Color forms will stay stuck to the page until you manually pull it off. They won't slide away or fall off or anything like that. So you'll be able to keep them on a board without permanently altering the board. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off topic, but no, I do not like legacy games. However, the few things that I have seen and read about Legacy Betrayal is that it is replayable. So I'm going to be looking more into it, and there's a possibility that might be the first legacy game Big Johnny G here actually buys. We'll have to wait and see about that. So this is a great game. It's a fun game. You never know who the traitor is going to be, which really is something that adds into the game. The only bad thing I can say about the game is the character cards. I just want to warn you about this up front. They have little like pentagon-shaped cards that have your physical abilities, such as your might and your speed, and the other side has your mental abilities, such as your sanity and your knowledge. And there's little scores, and you have these cool little clip-on things that go on it, and you can slide it back and forth to keep track of where your current number is. However, a long-standing complaint from just about anybody I've ever known that has played this game, including me and the 20-Sided Warriors, is that these clips, they don't work. They don't stay on. They slide all over the place. Now, I did hear that Avalon Hill, the publisher of Betrayal House on the Hill, now currently is either they just started selling or they're bringing to market right now brand new clip holders for the base game. So I'm a little bit excited about that. In the meantime, you can download apps. There's a couple of different apps to keep track of the character scores. But that's the only thing I really want to warn you about is the character cards and the clips. It's going to be very, very difficult to keep the clip on the actual number. It slides all over the place. But don't worry about that. The game itself, the mechanics of the game is fun. This whole traitor thing where you never know who the traitor is, and then when the traitor is revealed, you're not even 100% sure maybe why they're the traitor. And here's a little bit of a spoiler. There was one that we did that had no traitor in it. No traitor in it. At the end of the adventure, when the haunt struck, the entire house was lifted off by a giant rock, R-O-C, a giant rock, from Sinbad and Sinbad the Sailor, 1001 Arabian Nights. The rock is a gigantically huge hawk-like bird, so big it can swoop down and pick up elephants. So that's what happened in this particular haunt. There was no traitor. But as the house is being picked up and carried off by the rock to be dropped in the nest so that we can be fed to its little baby birds, there was one parachute short of the amount of players in the game. I think there was 4 of us, so there was only 3 parachutes. We had to fight for it. Oh, it did not end well. We got to a point where we kept stealing it back forth from each other until we all died. Or at least the two of us died. Yeah, another two jumped out and parachuted to safety. So that's very interesting. You never know what's going to happen. Trust me. If you like games that are cooperative, but at the same time you also like games where you get a chance to maybe play against the other players, Betrayal at House on the Hill, Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. Check those games out. Hey, you're going to like them. Especially if you like Dungeons & Dragons and fantasy, you're definitely going to like Baldur's Gate. Thank you, my friends. Thank you all for subscribing to us here on YouTube. Thank you for liking us on Twitter, on Facebook. Thank you for following us on Twitter. Thank you for all the support that you've given me, the 20-Sided Warriors, and Two Gun Pixie in general. I cannot say thank you enough, and you'll know the truth in that, and the fact that I say thank you several times at the end of just about every single video I do. And I mean it from my heart. Thank you, everyone. I'm your buddy Big John G from Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. And my friends, as you think, you know you are right. I am out of here.